resumes on the 22nd of June after a 2-week recess to mark the 2-year anniversary of the 9th National Assembly. Today on the program, we will do a review of the legislative scorecard. This is the Hallowed Chambers. I am Tijesu Adi. Joining me now is Senator Ajibola Bashir, the spokesman of the 9th Senate. It's good to have you on the program.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be here too.
2 years of the 9th Senate, 58 bills passed out of 742 bills introduced. How challenging has the first 2 years been, especially considering the fact that a major part of this time was taken by the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think thank you for the question. The question is not about the number of bills that have been passed. It's not about numerical analysis, but in terms of the importance and the relevance of those bills to the primary responsibility of the Nigerian Senate towards making law for good government, welfare, and security of our people.
All right, more people are worried about what they now call failed promises of the 9th Senate. The Petroleum Industry Bill is yet to be passed. The Electoral Reforms Bill is still pending, and other critical bills seems to be trapped in the National Assembly. How is the Senate attending to these matters?
I would respect, I would say that if there's any worry, the worry is born out of lack of understanding and lack of knowledge of what is going on presently at the National Assembly. On the Petroleum Industry Bill, work is already at an advanced stage. A final draft at the committee level has been worked upon after public hearing and engagement with critical stakeholders like the community, the international oil company, the bureaucracy, and of course, the regulatory authority. I happen to be a member of the petroleum upstream and downstream and actively participated in those processes and research. And on the constitutional amendment, work is also at an advanced stage. We have concluded work on the public hearing. We are summing up what our consultants have been able to put together from the hearing, and the date for 3-day retreat for members of the National Review Committee will be announced, but a plan is already in the offing. Also on the Electoral Act, work is at an advanced stage, and just as the President of the Senate, Dr. Ahmed, Lawan, said at the plenary marking second year of the 9th Senate, hopefully before we proceed on the summer recess, we will be able to address and pass this bill. So the gestation period is actually what will not be in the knowledge of those who perhaps genuinely worried that maybe work are not being done. But I can tell you that work are being done at the committee level, at consultative level, and at drafting level.
So we have seen the commencement of the constitutional review process, but again, some people have called it a waste of time or routine ritual for each legislative dispensation. How are you working to win the confidence of the citizens and encourage them to participate in the process?
The citizens have confidence in what we are doing, but you cannot allow for dissenting voices, for criticism in a country as wide as Nigeria, and of course the heterogeneous nature of our country and diverse ideas that people have. So that is also part of democracy. But having participated at the zonal hearing in Akure for my state, Osun, Ondo, and Ekiti, and the number of memoranda and people coming down using their resources to participate. I was also at the national public hearing at the International Conference Center, and the caliber of people from all walks of life, different age brackets, show that Nigerians are looking towards the National Assembly to make fundamental changes in the Constitution. And as I said, at the plenary where we debated the activity of the Senate in the past 2 years, I said that from my advantageous position, Nigerians are looking towards us to make substantive amendment. But I know that constitutional making is a process, and a process that is not once and for all. In every advanced democracies, these constitutional changes come at times at incremental level. They come at substantive level.
Another issue Nigerians complain about is the rising debt profile. They feel the Senate has failed to curb this excessive borrowing and continue to approve the federal government's entire borrowing plan. Should Nigerians indeed be worried?
the Nigerian Senate is not just making approval. There are procedure and there are systems to ensure that each of the borrowing is attached to specific projects. And all over the world, deficit financing is a recognized mode of public financing, and it has the benefit of delivering on the project immediately, while government revenue coming at the torrential nature of government revenue will not be able to make us do very important infrastructure necessary for us to prepare for the challenges of an expanding economy, expanding population, and a society that need to modernize in order to be able to participate in the community of nations. And I tell you that there are safeguards to ensure that each of the borrowing are attached to specific projects, and some of those projects are already being implemented and they're already feasible. For instance, you see the railway system that was inaugurated, even open for business last week Thursday by President at and the operation has started. You also see the Kaduna corridor too, and also the beginning of the Kano Kaduna area. So we need to galvanize our infrastructure, and we need this resource to be able to do so. It will have been otherwise if those resources are not committed to specific projects, having timeline and having a direct recourse to advancement of our economy.
What should Nigerians expect from the 9th Senate in the remaining 2 years of this legislative dispensation?
I think we will continue to interrogate the issue of national security. We'll continue to have robust discussion with the executive and come up with a proactive legislation to ensure that we are able to live up to the expectation of Nigerians in the area of security. The gargantuan investment we are making in expanding the economy will be overshadowed if we don't address the problem of insecurity. And as I highlighted in some other fora, there's a need for us to look closely at decentralization of the Nigerian security architecture. Nigerians are, of course, looking towards what we'll do in terms of amendment of the constitution. Having a constitution that delivers on good government to our people. The electoral system also is one area where we know that Nigerians are expecting us to have an electoral system free and fair and capable of delivering good leaders for our society. Of course, in the area of economy, the creative ingenuity is required to ensure that we use our appropriation powers and our legislative and supervisory power to ensure that the Nigerian people have value for money, and there is an atmosphere that will create employment for the teeming unemployed youth, and also enhance the productive sector. Those are the expectations we believe Nigerians are expected of us, and we hope that we'll be able to live up to those expectations. All
right, we do hope that you are able to live up to those expectations. Thank you so much for your time with us on the program today, Senator Jibola Bashiru, spokesman of the 9th Senate.
It's my pleasure to have been here. Thanks to the crew too.
At TVC Communications, we're all about our audience. Millions of viewers, listeners, and readers every day all around Nigeria.
Our 2 TV stations are among the most watched in Nigeria.
TVC News is our award-winning 24-hour national and international news channel headquartered here in Lagos, broadcasting live from our custom-built state-of-the-art news headquarters.
TVC, the top-rated family entertainment channel, is the place for fun, music, and information.
With news bureau and studios around the country and the ability to go live anywhere, anytime, we are first for breaking news in Nigeria. Awarded the NMMA TV Station of the Year, TVC News is the station of choice for news that...
And when you can't watch us, listen to us. 102.3 Max FM Lagos and 90.9 Max FM Abuja are now ranked among the most listened to radio stations in Nigeria.
In Lagos, TVC, our leading family entertainment TV channel, has a 47% market share. But this is just the start of our journey, as we plan to add even more services to entertain and inform our ever-growing audience. Thanks for being part of the TVC communications story.
Our spotlight moves to the House of Representatives to see what their scorecard looks like in 2 years. Joining me now is Honourable Benjamin Kalu, spokesman of the House of Representatives. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and Nigerians, thank you for tuning in. It's a pleasure to be here.
2 years of the 9th House. How far so far?
As you know, when we came into, when you elected us last 2 years to represent you, we drew a roadmap that will guide us towards the achievement of the things we intended for Nigerians, which was hinged on their desires and the aspiration of Nigerians. That we captured in what we call the legislative agenda. And we took a mantra, which we call nation building, a joint task. And that legislative agenda, we were able to capture issues bordering on healthcare delivery system in Nigeria, education, economy, security, food security, agriculture, sustainable power, environment, climate change, capital, human capital development, and a whole lot of them. And looking at that map so far and where we are at the moment, it shows that the journey so far has been so good. There are still miles for us to cover. Yes, there are. But you agree with me that we assisted, this current administration so well in our partnership to ensure that one of the proposals we presented in our legislative agenda, which remains budget reform, helped us to return the budget cycle to a predictable January to December calendar. So it gives the private sector and the public sector the opportunity to, predict and to project what they will do in any financial year. The benefit of this cannot be overemphasized. We have also supported the federal government to pull Nigeria out of recession early this year. This is a wonderful step that Nigeria took that has schooled world economic experts. They are wondering how we're able to do that. We supported the federal government to achieve this. We've supported the federal government in their effort to recover from the economy, recover the nation from economic impact of the COVID-19. Supported the government also in their fight, or if you like, in our fight against insecurity. And this you will see in so many interventions that we have made so far, and especially about 98 motions and resolutions from the House on insecurity and the need to get something done.
What are the concrete achievements in terms of motions and bills passed? How many have become laws?
Yeah, as at 10th of June this year, the House has recorded about 853 bills, and out of which 66 has been passed, which is actually a very huge step. And out of those bills, we have passed Finance Act to improve IGR and stimulate growth among the small and medium scale enterprises. This has become a law as we speak. And also we have the Company and Allied Matters Act, which was amended. This has also become a law. And the appropriation bill also has become an act. That is why you have a budget. If it become a law, it will not be a budget. We have also passed relevant bills that has to do with things like Electricity Power Sector Reform Act, Amendment Bill, the Physically Challenged Empowerment Bill, National Orientation Agency Act Amendment Bill, Labor Act Amendment Bill, Finance Bill, Student Loan, Access to Higher Education Bill, Federal Rules Bills, Public Procurement Act Amendment Bill, the Company and Allied Matters that I just mentioned have been assented to by Mr. President, and also the Deep Offshore Bill. And not forgetting the Emergency Economic Stimulus Bill that is before the Senate at the moment, 2020, that is before the Senate, that we're waiting for them to give their concurrence.
Resolutions arising from these motions are almost always ignored, and many have argued it is a needless exercise. What do you think?
Well, it is important for Nigerians to understand the nature of motions. One, legislative activities doesn't only have to do with motions. We use bills to solve some of our problems in the country. Like I just mentioned to you now, how we use the legislative tool of lawmaking in place of this motion to, to profile areas we can solve, steps we can take to solve insecurity. And I mentioned the 9 bills that we are working on, and it was out of a motion that came before the House that gave, past motions that gave birth to these bills. Now. Motions are not laws. Nigerians must know that motions are not laws, so they don't have the force of law. They are hardly mandatory. They are persuasive in nature. And I agree with you that there have been the challenge of slow implementation of the House resolutions by the executive. We expect the executive to do better in honoring the resolutions of the House as they reflect the voices of Nigerians. But you see, the implementation of motion does not have to do with us. It has to do with the executive. And as long as we give support to the executive to achieve the nation building, goals, we expect also that the executive should always listen to the wishes of Nigerians that are reflected in the various resolutions that we present to them. So Nigerians should hold the executive, responsible for the implementation of motion and resolutions from our motions. We only resolve, we do not implement. It is the duty of the executive to implement. So Nigerians should know where to direct such questions to.
Many have argued that the 9th National Assembly is more of an appendage of the executive arm of government. How do you respond to this?
Nigerians must get used to the arms of government that work in harmony and mutual respect for the interests of the nation than that which only expresses itself or its efficiency in acrimony and rancor. We experienced that in the past assemblies that held the budget for too long, 6 months, and that is not what Nigeria want to celebrate. I think people see effective legislature as that which is always wearing a boxing glove to fight with the executive. The question becomes, in a time when we have teething problems that demands all arms of government coming together to provide solution, is it the best to wear those boxing gloves? Or is it a time to, work in harmony and mutual respect for the interests of the nation? Granted that we operate within the rules of separation of power and the system of checks and balances, but nothing says that the principle of checks and balances and separation of power can only be seen when we exhibit acrimonious relationship to the detriment of national development. So we are doing our part, and we are boxing the executives enough. In some of the areas we feel they need to be boxed. You have witnessed most of our investigative hearings. You know how we drills them to make sure we get and we follow the taxpayers' money. You know, some of you journalists have visited our, budgets, presentation sections and how we query few things that we are not comfortable with. If we are not, if we are in bed with the executive, the number of motions that we are turning out with resolutions will not be there. The resolutions that you are seeing that we are fighting for their implementation, just because that is what Nigerians want us to push out. And we have pushed them out, and it depends on the executive to make them become live. So we'll keep pushing, and it is always like this all around the world. The parliament is not always, seen favorably by the public. Although that the parliament remains the people's parliament, the people's voice, the ears and the eyes.
Many Nigerians and indeed the opposition in the House are not pleased with the resolution of the leadership on the suspension of Twitter in Nigeria. What is your take?
You see, that is understandable, but we must not act with haste. The House has not treated the suspension of Twitter with levity. It has mandated a joint committee to investigate the reason for the suspension and report within 10 days. And we are awaiting this report. You see, the House prioritizes issues. And when they are prioritized on the scale of preference, it becomes one of the burden of the leadership of the House, the leader of the House, the speaker, the principal presiding officer of the House, to carry it on his shoulder. What happened on that day was the weight of what happened fell on the shoulder of the speaker. And while he was addressing the House, he brought it up, and immediately, without waiting for motions and debate, saved the discussion. Many people didn't know that that discussion was saved, because before then, the opposition had gone to the market and started boasting on how they are going to cause problem during plenary if their voice was not heard. And the majority party, some of the people there have already ganged up on how to kill any motion that had to do with that because of the threats that come from the opposition. Now, the speaker, believing that this is an issue that should not be killed, decided to save that discussion. If he had allowed it to, go through the House in the debate as people thought, I can assure you the voice of the nays would have been louder than the voice of the ayes. And if the voice of the nays gets louder, more audible than the nays, than the ayes, that issue will be given a decent burial. In law, we call it res judicata. It will be decided by the House, finally, and will not be woken up anymore. So in order to avoid that, what the speaker did was to raise it in his address and immediately mandated the relevant committees of the House, about 4 committees, to form a joint committee to look into it immediately and invite all the stakeholders involved in that. I think that was a step in the right direction.
What is the focus of the House in the new calendar year?
Like I said when I started the discussion with you, that we have a roadmap, and that roadmap is not going to change midway. The legislative agenda has captured all the things that we set out to achieve from the time we came on board, and we are not going to leave that because we've not finished achieving all of them. So we're not going to set new targets. We're going to leverage the gains of the previous sections and intensify the those are the activities around it. We're going to be guided also by proper checks and balances on the executive. The House will support the government to stabilize the economy and arrest insecurity. It is also expected that as Nigeria and the rest of the world emerge from the socio-economic effect of COVID-19, thanks to the vaccine that we are using at the moment, legislative activities in the coming days will start to be more robust via speak without the constraint of COVID-19 protocol and social distancing. We are looking forward to finish up pending legislations that are very key to the minds of Nigerians, one of which is the Electoral Act, which I'm sure the House will take care of before we go into our vacation. I'm also sure that the Petroleum Industry Bill is at its final stage at the moment, and Nigerians need us to, finalize it, that we are committed to doing before going on our next long vacation. So we stick to our legislative agenda, we finish up what we are doing, and we are sure that if we are able to achieve 70–80% of what we have put down in our legislative agenda, Nigerians will be happy that we have achieved a lot. So far, I can assure you, we are on course. We have not lost focus. Many never believe that the budget calendar will be sustained this second year. We have been able to sustain it, and it is now going to become a tradition in no distant time. So that is Nigerians should be hopeful that also with the amendment of the constitution that is going on, that we are going to be able to capture their interests in those areas that they feel need to be pruned or adjusted to reflect the desires of we, the people of Nigeria.
That's our package this week. Do not forget to follow us on all our social media handles and also subscribe to the TVC News YouTube channel to get fresh updates on activities of lawmakers and how it affects you. Thank you for watching. See you next time.